So a few months ago, we showed a video of Clay's homecoming from Alone, and during that video, it kind of documented what the kids and I were doing while he was gone. And one of the things that I did was make homemade Kahlua. And since we showed that video, there's been a lot of interest in the recipe on how to make it, and so today I'm going to show you how to make it. Okay, so this is a really quick and easy recipe. So one of the main ingredients that you need is your liquor for this. Now you can do vodka or whiskey. Don't do both at the same time. But if you're wanting a Kahlua like the kind that you get at the store, vodka is going to give you the most similar flavor from what you get at the store. Whiskey gives you a little bit of a stronger taste. When it comes to your liquor, you don't have to buy expensive liquor. I mean, this is pretty close to bottom shelf. This one's a little up, but this one might have been on the bottom shelf. But I save my money and just get the cheap stuff because when you make this, your flavor is really coming from the type of coffee that you use. One of my favorite brands is Mount Hagen. This is decaf. I don't ever buy decaf. I got this by accident, but I'm gonna use it. I got this on Amazon. It's like 10 bucks for this little container. And for this recipe, you only need one of these to make a single batch of this. You need vanilla beans. Now, vanilla beans are really expensive. So if you go to a grocery store or to Costco's or Sam's, like they're asking like 30 bucks for like 1 or 2 beans. I buy all mine from a company called Vanilla online. You have the option when you buy these to get grade A or grade B beans. So grade A beans are the more expensive type of bean. They are a plumper bean and you don't get as many. When you buy grade A, you're going to buy per bean. So it's pretty expensive. But when you're making this kind of stuff, you're cutting these beans apart and you're just scraping the inside of this out. And so I get grade B. They're cheaper, they're a little bit skinnier, they're drier. And so your bean, I mean, they're really not, they're pretty flat, but once you cut into these, the vanilla paste inside is really good. So the grade B vanilla beans that I get, this pack has 25 pieces, and you can get lower packs. I use a lot of vanilla beans, and so I just buy the bigger pack. But this recipe, you use 4 to 5 beans. So you're looking at getting about 5 batches of Kahlua out of this pack, which is a heck of a lot of Kahlua. We don't drink that much, but here you go if you want to drink that much. And so another thing that we make out of these vanilla beans, which is why I buy so many, is homemade vanilla. When you start looking at buying like a good quality vanilla extract, it's really expensive. And so if you get this and make your own, it's pretty cheap. And the last ingredient that you need is a big bowl of sugar. Now you can make this as sweet or unsweet as you want. So if you make a small batch of this and you realize that you want it sweeter, you can just add sugar to it. It's not going to hurt anything to add more sugar or to take sugar away. So as I said, this is a quick and easy recipe, so you don't have to have a lot of stuff to make it. We're just going to be using a pot, and I like to use a wooden spoon. It's just preference. You can use whatever. You do need big jars to put this in, and you need jars that seal very well. I have some gallon jars that I like, but they don't seal, and this is not good for this recipe because once you make this has to sit for a month, and every day or so when you go by, you're going to give this a shake. And so if you don't have a good lid on it, it drips out, and then it gets where the lid, you can't take the lid off very well. And then at the end of the month, I like to bottle mine up. You can leave them in the big jars, it won't hurt at all. But if you want to bottle them up or give them away, I like to use old just wine bottles. But you can keep it in the jar, or if you want to put it in pint or quart-sized jars, you can do that as well. Oh, but one thing I should mention about your pot, try to get a thicker bottom pot because when you put the sugar in there, you have to dissolve it with the water and the coffee. And if you don't watch it, it will burn to the bottom and you don't want burnt Kahlua. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna put our sugar in our pot here. All right, so for this recipe today, I am using 6 cups of sugar. Now, if you don't want to use that much, you don't have to put that much in there, or if you think this is not going to be sweet enough, you can certainly add more sugar to it. You need 1.5 cups of your coffee granules. That's what's in this little container here. I make this recipe enough to know that. And so you just pour this in on top. All right, and then you're gonna put 4 cups of water in with this as well. All right, so then you're just gonna give it a stir, and then we're gonna put it on the stove and let this slowly dissolve. You don't wanna do this fast because you'll burn it. It doesn't take very long to dissolve, but you just wanna go slow at it. And you're gonna have to trust me on this. This is really good because at this stage, it does not look good. All right, so now this is mixed up. We're gonna go ahead and put this on the stove. All right, so you don't have to continuously stir this, but you don't want to walk away from the stove because once it starts dissolving, it burns pretty quickly. So just stay near and just give it a little stir here and there. And it only takes about 5 or 10 minutes to get this ready to go. And another thing is you don't want to boil this. You just want to warm it up just enough to dissolve the sugar. And it's almost, I mean, it's only been on here 3 minutes maybe, and it's almost dissolved already. All right, so that only took about 5 minutes to get that sugar dissolved. Now you have to let that cool to room temperature before you can add your vanilla and your alcohol to it. But like I said, we can't do anything with that until it cools to room temperature. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get these vanilla beans ready, and so they're ready to go. So I'm gonna use 5 beans here. Now if you're using, like I said, these are grade B beans, so they're a little bit drier and flatter. If you decide to buy the more expensive grade A beans, you don't need this many. You could probably get away with just 2 of those versus the 5 that I'm gonna use. All right, so you're just gonna cut this down the middle of the bean here. Right. And so if you've never cut vanilla beans open, when you cut these open, there is a paste inside here. It smells really good. And so all you do is just scrape this paste out. It is messy, you're gonna make a mess. And just run your knife along it and scrape the paste out. So there's your paste. You're using your vanilla bean and the paste as well. So I just put the paste in there and pull it off. And then I just chop my vanilla bean up like that. If you want, you can give the back a little scrape too to get some of the oils going. And I just kind of split these up between 2 jars. Just don't cut yourself because these beans kind of like to move around when you're trying to cut them open. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to get the majority of the stuff out of it. And if it breaks apart, that's fine too. And some of these beans sometimes have a little bit less inside than the other ones. And so if you get one that's really dry, you can just add another bean to this. That one was kind of a dry one there. All right, so this has been cooling for about an hour, hour and a half. It doesn't have to get all the way cool. It can still be just a little bit warm, but you just don't want it really hot. But right now it has a film on top, a foam. It's really thick. Like, I mean, if you stick your finger in it, it coats your finger. And it tastes really good. And this actually reminds me of when I was younger, my dad took us to my pawpaw's house every weekend, and he would give us coffee every time we went up there, and it was a cup of sugar with a little bit of instant coffee and milk, and this is exactly what it tastes like. So brings back a lot of childhood memories. But so now it's time though for us to add the alcohol. I'm gonna add vodka in mine today. I've used whiskey before, but I'm just gonna go with vodka today. And so I'm gonna add 6 cups to this. It's about to slip out of my fingers. All right, so there's 6 cups. You're just gonna stir it around really good. All right, so once you get here, it doesn't look very good. That's one of those things you're gonna have to trust me. It's really good, but it's kind of funky looking right now. All right, so now we're just gonna pour it into our jars that we put the vanilla beans in earlier. And I just divide it up between the 2 jars. All right, so give that a wipe down and then you put your jars on. All right, and so that is it. I put a label on mine with the date because it's about a month before it's ready. And you don't want to put this in the direct sunlight. I just keep ours sitting over here on our little bar that we have, and then just whenever I go by, I just give it a shake. As this sits, it's gonna get kind of a sludge at the bottom from the instant coffee, but you know, just shake it until that film on the bottom goes away every time. All right, so I let this sit about a month. If you don't want to let it sit that long, you can, a couple weeks, and then you can start drinking it. But the longer you let it sit, the more the flavors mix up. I bottle some of this, and then I have some that's still sitting in the jars with the vanilla beans, and it's been there for a year, and it's perfectly fine. It won't go bad, but the longer you let it sit there, the stronger it's going to get, and the flavors are going to mingle better. And then I have the one. This one has been sitting here for a month now, and it's ready to go. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to strain it. I just got a wire mesh strainer here, and I'm just going to strain this a little bit at a time just to get the vanilla bean pieces out of it. And this is the biggest measuring cup I have, or if you have a bigger one, you can do the whole thing at one time. All the stuff's usually at the bottom that you're wanting to strain out. All right, and so I just put mine into old wine bottles or whatever kind of liquor bottles that I have that I like. And so we're gonna stick some in this smaller bottle. It helps to have a funnel to be able to get this into it. And then it's still thick, so you have to go kind of slow or it's gonna go over the top of the funnel. All right, and so there is one bottle of Kahlua. In the nice bottle, I'm gonna leave the label on there because I like the label. But if you give these for Christmas presents or anything, you can order, if you want to order labels, you can get them off of Amazon. You can get a sheet and they'll stick on there, or you can get some that you tie on there if you want to do that. All right, so I hope you liked the video today on making Kahlua. Just take the recipe and make it your own, you know, add what you want to it, try it with different alcohols, and let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe because we have a lot more videos coming up. We have some fermented vegetables I'm fixing to be doing. Also head on over to Stop! God!
So pick it up from also.
Okay. Also head over to Instagram and follow me there. You can find me at no, I messed up. Dang it.
Okay.
I have to stop. I can't get it out. It's a freaking tongue tie. I should have chose a different name. I feel like I'm doing wrong when you're starting doing like this. And I'm just like, I see you doing this and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I feel like you're kind of being like, yeah.
Nope.
At Life Like Lizzie, and we'll see you next time. That's bad. That's bad. What's next?